What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Off the Top Rope, Off the Mic Sports Network here. So I did a long form review of Saturday night's main event. I also did one of All in Texas, loaded weekend of content in pro wrestling. Um, need to talk about some of the bad. And you guys always get on me for being critical of AEW, but I have to call it like I see it here, even if I don't like, a lot of what Goldberg has represented for the last 10 years. Um, you know, I am a proud Jewish man. Goldberg is also a proud Jewish man. And I understand what he was, and I understand, how exciting he was back in the 90s. The way that he has been pushed in our faces in a lot of unnecessary matches for titles and whatnot. Um, it was a little ridiculous. And when this idea came about that he was going to face Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship at Saturday night's main event, I was like, why do we need to do this? Goldberg's almost 60. Um, Seeing the way everything played out, I actually don't think that this was inherently bad. I said this on my recap show. Like, I actually kind of enjoyed, specifically the last couple of minutes of this match were really well done. It went on, I think the official time was just a shade under 15 minutes. Which is very long for a man, but I give credit to Gunther. I actually give credit to Goldberg. Like, I mean, they did what they could, and it was fine enough. I mean, for God's sakes, Charles Robinson took a spear in this match, and Gunther is one of the best professional wrestlers in the world. Um, and I actually saw a stat. It's his longest one-on-one singles match in 22 years. You want to know what that match was? That was The Rock. That was Goldberg's debut in WWE. I think it was Backlash 2003, right after WrestleMania 19, when Goldberg came in after the much hyped debut, because Goldberg was really like a phenomenon back in the Attitude Era, the Monday Night Wars era. He was really WCW's biggest attraction because of his intensity, how quick his matches were, how dominant he was. So I get it. And, I haven't liked how this has gone. And, I didn't like how this match was kind of laid out and set up, but I understood, hey, Atlanta, he gets to perform in front of his college-age son, his wife, who we've really seen Gage kind of grow up before our eyes, which is, on a low-key level, kind of neat. Like Goldberg, like his son didn't get to see him in his prime, so his son gets to see him kind of have this short little run, which was a little bit ridiculous given his age, but still kind of cool. So, considering everything that had happened earlier on in this show with the Seth Rollins injury, which is really unfortunate, obviously shuffled a lot of things on this show. But to see Goldberg, the match ends at about 9:56 Eastern time. And it was 6:56 time for me Pacific time. And the match ends. We abruptly cut to commercial, and then we come back at 59 after, right at the top of the hour. Michael Cole's rushing to get an interview with Goldberg with his whole family, his whole entourage. Josh Barnett's in there, DDP's in there. Everybody imaginable came out to see Bill Goldberg on television. And for 30 seconds, Bill Goldberg speaks, and once he catches a breath to say something, they just go off the air. And I understand that some of this is NBC they have a hard stop at, the top of the hour. But WWE, TKO, and NBC Universal, they did Bill Goldberg dirty. They absolutely did Bill Goldberg dirty. This was this guy's retirement match. And I understand. Listen, you have 1,000 commercials. You had a match that got abruptly cut short due to injury. You couldn't have found an extra 5 minutes in this broadcast to give this guy a retirement speech. Like, listen, I understand Goldberg is not a lot of people's favorites. I was against this match, but considering what you did in this match, which was a really nice send-off, considering all of the, trials and tribulations through this guy's career, and, how, panned a lot of his appearances in WWE have been. This was a good way to go out. So you couldn't have given him a couple extra minutes to, speak in front of I mean, granted, the people in Atlanta got to see this, which, okay, cool. But if you were planning on airing this, you could have given him more than 30 seconds. Really? Really? Like that to me, like I mean, I'm not going to say personification, but this is really the embodiment of everything that is wrong with the WWE product. Like, listen, like it just comes across as disrespectful, and it comes across as very corporate. You're all about getting your checks, you're all about getting your money, you're all about this, that, and the other. And even one of the attractions that a lot of people didn't want to see, but granted, that crowd was going crazy, and the people in the arenas that have seen Goldberg, the internet really didn't want to see it. But to see it just get rushed off the air like that, given you had extra time, like the last couple Saturday night main events have really come across very poorly. Like the first one was okay because you at least had the Cody and Kevin Owens, world title match, and this was a world title match like in itself, and obviously getting a big name with Goldberg on it, but man, it's just to consider how the second hour of this show just was riddled with, a bunch of, just like I said, the Goldberg match dragged, and to go 14 minutes with a 58-year-old man, and like I said, there wasn't anything inherently memorable. It wasn't bad given the circumstances that they were in. I mean, you had one of the best professional wrestlers in the world there with a guy who hadn't wrestled in 3 years. So it was almost 60. It's what are you expecting? But to have one of your top stars get injured and then just abruptly go off the air in two separate occasions, I understand that the production was just, having to fix a live broadcast because of that. But how this wasn't recognized and, hey, time management, come on, really? Like Goldberg got done dirty here, man. It's an unfortunate circumstance. I don't know who really truly to blame here, but you guys get mad at me when I don't rip WWE. And here I am ripping WWE, TKO, ripping. I'll even throw it at NBC because this is a contractual agreement that they have. You have got to get better at these broadcasts because these broadcasts are just a fucking mess. You cannot tell me that this is okay to have 3,700 commercials for something. So it's supposed to be shaped as a premium live event. I understand it's network television, but you have got to get better with these broadcasts to not abruptly stop in these matches with 1,300 commercial breaks and then have a Hall of Famer, whether people like him or not, in his final match, and you go off the air. Like, I understand AEW got shit for not timing it out correctly with Sting's, retirement, and that abruptly got rushed off the air. You guys have network television, and you had the benefit of it. I mean, I can't really say benefit, but you had an injury that allowed you extra time to potentially have this happen. And you still only gave the guy 30 seconds to really speak in front of the TV broadcast audience. Granted, the people in Atlanta who really were there to see him, they got to hear the whole thing, but it sucked, man. It's just Goldberg got done dirty. And listen, like I said, I'm not the biggest Goldberg fan, or, for what he's represented in terms of a lot of people don't like the man. He might be a fine man in real life, but at the same time, what he has represented in the wrestling industry has not been great, considering, especially the last 9 or 10 years that he's been in WWE on this sporadic schedule that he has. It's just not a good look. So, yeah, that kind of left a bad taste in my mouth. And, like I said, that last hour of that show really left a bad taste in my mouth. It wasn't like anything bad due to the wrestling itself, but there were some production issues, and then obviously the unfortunate injury to Seth Rollins really screwed a lot of things up. So we'll see how that gets sorted out. We'll talk about that on the channel when we get more information on it. Thanks to everybody who's watching on here. We're gonna have a lot more stuff. I'm gonna probably try to get into some NXT stuff because they had a really good show. So that'll be coming here on the channel. hopefully, over the course of the day, and then obviously we'll have evolution reactions as well. Anyway, thanks so much. I will see you guys soon. Bye bye.